Nos acompaña esta tarde el sociólogo y periodista Frédéric Martel, autor también del libro Sodoma, Poder y Escándalo en el Vaticano, y es justamente de lo que queremos conversar con él esta tarde. Frédéric, welcome to Chile. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. What brings you to our country?
For me, Chile is the quintessence of the splendor, I would say, and also the problem of the church. Mm-hmm. And I came here twice to do this research, and it's a long chapter on the book, and some figures are even more important, like Cardinal Angelo Sodano, who became Secretary of State, which means Prime Minister of the Pope John Paul II. And so through Chile, you can understand the evolution and the trouble of the church.
Now, if you declare in Sodoma, actually, in your book, that this is not a critic to the Catholic Church, what type of critic is it? Is there any?
It is, first of all, a critique on hypocrisy and on the double life and schizophrenia. I'm basically discussing homosexuality in the church. But I don't have any problem with cardinals, bishops, or priests being gay. I think it should even maybe be an option. However, I think when you are, for example, very homophobic and at the same time you're gay yourself, then there is a problem. And this problem has a lot of effects on the doctrine, on the way the church works, the way the church tried to correct his mistake, and of course of the mistake of the church.
Now, if the authorities in the church, you declare is 80% of the Vaticans are homosexual, and this was a way to escape their reality at the time. So a homosexual young man that lived in Italy wouldn't have a space in their surroundings and their reality. Therefore, they would go into the church and become a priest. What will happen now that homosexuality is not an issue anymore, is even in Europe is way more open than in South America, but people don't have to hide anymore if they're homosexual?
So you're absolutely right on your analysis, and I follow you. I never said that there is 80% of priests that are gay. I mean, actually, we don't really know. Some priests are saying in my book it's 80%, some others say 70%, 60%. Actually, nobody will know. This is why I'm less in a quantitative study than a qualitative one. I try to understand, and you gave the key, basically. Basically, during the 70s and 80s, heterosexual priests became to leave the church, or they didn't want to come. So because of that, the number of priests decrease. When the number of priests decrease, by definition, the percentage of the priests that are gay increase. So this is how an homosexualization of the church was more and more important in the 70s, in the 80s. However, today, because of what you said, I mean, when you are gay in a little village in Chile or in a bourgeois family here in Providencia, you have other options than to become a priest. And this is why, I guess, it's another reason why the number of priests is even decreasing more today. In France, for example, we have 800 priests who die every year. 50 are ordained, which means the church is decreasing totally. There is no priest anymore.
Will that end the Catholic Church the way we know it?
You know, they were 12 in the beginning, a lot centuries ago. So, you know, they were able to survive and to create a big church. So I'm not afraid. I'm not even pessimistic. I just think church has to change and to be, not to lie on reality. There is a sexuality of the priest. It's very important, either heterosexual or homosexual. There is a lie, a big lie. You're homophobic because you want to hide, quite often, your homosexuality. And there is a system, that's another subject, but it's also linked to that culture of secrecy. There is a big system of protection and cover-up of scandals, not only sexual, but also sexual, like here in Chile with the Karadima story.
We will go into the Chile's reality, but first, you were just saying secretism and in sexuality, celibacy. What is the main issue for you in the cases of abuse? Is it homosexuality? Is it celibacy? What is the main thing?
The key point is the double life. It's the lie. It's schizophrenia. Either you are heterosexual or homosexual, when you hide something that is very important, sexuality. When you lie to others, but you also lie to yourself.
But then you have celibacy where a priest, and their stories known too, would have a woman and children, right?
Yes.
But then you don't critique that in your book. It's mainly homosexuality.
Yes, because I think in the last 30 years, as much as you go on the hierarchy, as much the percentage of homosexual is important. And I guess a lot of the explanation that we try to find about the trouble of the church are to some extent linked to homosexuality, but not an homosexuality that is a normal one. I'm openly gay, I'm gay friendly. I love the fact that people, if they want, or if they are gay. And the fact that a cardinal, a bishop or a priest is gay is not a problem for me. It should even be probably an option accepted by the church. But when you lie...
I'm sorry, Pope Francis has said that he's nobody to judge gay people. So do you think that it may be that one of the consequences?
No, of course, Pope Francis is trying to change the church because he knows what's happening. He knows that a lot of cardinals, especially the ones that attack him, that are very homophobic, are in fact having a double life. At least he said that. He said that all the time. You know, the rigid that have a double life. And who are these people? They are the cardinals that attack him. And so he knows and he believes basically there is something that is an hypocrisy. And it's not against people when they are gay, even priests, even in his entourage, even a cardinal. I think he accepts that to some extent. But what he hates profoundly, like me, it's the one that are homosexual and then they are homophobic. They lie about their sexuality and they protect abuser. And then there is a link. This is the culture of secrecy. And this link of you lie about everything. The sexuality you have, the sexuality of people around you, and sexual abuse that you might have known with priests or whatever around you.
Let's concentrate on Chile now. Bishop Chicluna have said that Chilean Catholic Church is a Pandora's box.
Yes.
What is, to you, and according to your investigation, the visits you've done to our country, what do you think is coming next? What do we need to know still? And I'm putting just examples. For example, Karadima's case. Is there anything else that we need to know about it? Is Cardinals Rasuris and Itzati? Is there more to know?
I think to understand, and Cicluna is right on that, to understand the Chilean system with a kind of both a Pandora box, but also an extreme case, and to some extent a symbol of the crisis of the Catholic Church everywhere, is that you have the mix of 4 different networks that protected Karadima. You have the network, first of all, of, and you mentioned their name, of the cardinals and the bishops here. Erasirus, Esato, and so on and so forth. Then, Esati, sorry.
Yeah.
And you have also the nuncio, the ambassador of the Pope, that were also extremely active to basically protect what was happening here. And the key figure for that is Cardinal Angelo Sodano, that spent 10 years here and was extremely aware of many trouble of the church in Chile. But you also have some people in the Vatican that knew about what's happening in Chile and basically got silent. And at the end, you have also the Pinochet system of politicians, ministers, some ambassadors, some spy, some assistant that also knew about Karadima and about Sodano. So this kind of triangle between the abuser, the Vatican, and the political system, that all of them made Karadima protected.
Was everything known by Vatican?
You know, it's very difficult to say, and if Cicluna says that, we might believe him because he's very trustable. But at the same time, the archives are closed. The people don't speak. There is no testimony, and the people like typically Angelo Sodano are basically cardinal protected by the diplomatic immunity. So it's extremely difficult, but I will guess they knew.
But So if they did know, and if everybody is within the same triangle that you were describing, is it logical, or is it for people to believe that Vatican should be the one judging them, having the last word on this?
Yes, but the Vatican doesn't. It doesn't for two main reasons. First of all, by clericalism. Clericalism means you protect the system to avoid, to protect the victim or whatever. That's a very normal system. You have that in big corporation, government. We call it in France raison d'etat, which means you always protect the country or the state and not the individual. And the second reason, it is also that if you judge, you need to pay. You need to be guilty. And in addition of that, you need to see that everybody or many people in your system are basically guilty. And to finish, the justice in the Vatican doesn't exist. They don't have the police to do the study, and they don't have the judge. They don't have even the jail to put the people in jail. They don't have the text. They don't have the system of basically judging. If you take the Pell story, and I met George Pell before he was indicted in Australia, it's thousands of pages of testimony. The police, it's hundreds of people from the police that basically interview people to know, making testimony and so on. The church doesn't have that. In the Vatican, you have nobody to do that. So thinking that the church is able to judge anybody in his own system, it's basically, let's say bullshit. And however, the justice in Chile might do the job.
Now, if we go under that theory, Bishop Celestino Aos, who came back to Santiago, to our country this week, has said that the challenge that Pope Francis has asked him is to get the truth. Will he be able to get the truth, since he's already, has an accusation already?
Pope Francis is Argentinian, Jesuit, Peronist, old, 82 years old. And so the problem is, he tries, I kind of like him. I think he goes in a good direction. He tries to correct the system. But in front of him, he has decades, at least 2 or 3 popes that made a lot of mistakes. More than 100 cardinals that don't necessarily want to see all this basically made public. And so for this reason, he's in a big fight, and there is a civil war in the Vatican between the ultra-conservative right-wing cardinals and him. They want to fire him. They want him to quit. And so this fight is extremely strong. This is why the Pope one day is gay-friendly, the day after is anti-gay, one day is in favor of Barros, the day after is not, is in favor on Erasirus, the day after he asked him to quit. So he's trying to find some solution. He made mistake. Sometimes it's too late, not enough strong, but at least he knows how to correct his mistake, which is already good and new.
Your critics say that you are getting people in a mistaken way to think that homosexuality and abuse are connected necessarily. What do you have to answer to
Nobody has said that. I mean, if you read my book, there is no one line that
Frank Brownie does it.
No, because he didn't read my book. It was before
an early version of it. He says.
No, but he didn't. It was before the book was published, and he had no books. It's true that when you are in this subject, it's very difficult to announce these two questions. But the book, from page 1 to the last, separate this confusion that has been made by the church forever. To say that you have sexuality between 2 people which are adult and consentant, heterosexual or homosexual, and then people that have sexuality with a minor or even an adult but without consent and a hierarchy relation. And this separation has never been done by the church. That's the key proof, the key reason of the scandal we have right now. And in the book, I always separate the two questions. My book is mainly on homosexuality. It's not really on sexual abuse, but then it comes to sexual abuse because you see the consequence of this system of lie and hypocrisy.
Mr. Martel, what do you think is the effect that your book is going to cause, especially now that the Pope has called a meeting about child abuse?
You know, the prime of the meeting, it had no real decision or consequence itself. So I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, I'm a sociologist. So my goal is not to change the church. My goal is a book is to describe what's happening, to make analysis of the system, and then people, Catholics, the Pope, cardinals, the Curia, the Vatican, whoever you want in the church, can or cannot, that's their choice, to use this book. This book makes a lot of debate. It's thousands of articles. Some people hate me, a lot of people love me. That's a debate. That's normal because the book is changing the way you think about the church. We are not going to, now the question is not why they are homophobic or against women. They are very against women, misogynist, and there is no woman at all in the Vatican. The debate is not about that. The debate now is why they are gay. And so, you know, you see a totally different way to understand the church. And, you know, let me tell you, I might be wrong on one case or one example or one line. I'm sure I'm right on the system.
On the overall. Mr. Martel, thanks so much for coming and talking to us. Pleased to have you here in the program.